So when you first go on a date, like, what is your go-to move?
Wait, are we live?
No. We're not live. No. What's your first go-to move?
How are you? Like, I just go with the flow.
On the first time we meet a woman.
One by one. First is kissing, then some hand touching. I go first.
Okay. Yeah. And then you give it like a come aboard the big game.
Not really, but
all right.
So that's how it works.
Yo, what's up, guys? Coming at you again on another episode of TTS Talk number 10. Alongside, once again, my good friend, colleague, and co-host, Ruben Borges. And today, we got a very special guest on the show, my man, the Big Game James.
What's going on, guys?
And for those of you who don't know, Big Game James is one of our head strength and conditioning coaches here at TTS. And today's topic is going to be for younger coaches who are looking to get into the strength and conditioning field, personal training field, guys that are just starting in the business. Maybe you're going to school, maybe you're flirting with the idea. And James, so what I want you to do is just tell the people at home where you are in your career and what you're trying to accomplish and kind of how you just got rolling in the business. So let's just start with that.
How'd you start to get into fitness and strength training?
Absolutely. So one of the things I got into strength conditioning or even just training people was when I finished my football career in high school, my goal was to originally walk on for my school's football team, and personal stuff got in the way.
Make sure you talk nice and loud because I don't know if that mic's going to pick up.
Gotcha. But yeah, I didn't have a chance to really walk on for the football team as much as I wanted to because personal stuff got into the way. I gained the freshman 20, got overweight. So I started realizing I wanted to gravitate into more losing weight and getting into fitness. So I took physical education, worked with my advisor who is now lost weight, and I realized I think fitness is something I can gravitate towards. So I picked up physical education as a bachelor's degree, and now I'm studying my master's degree, and just even having mentors, just delving into people who are already in the field to get me on how to get to where they were at. That's what kind of motivated me more to if they can get there, I can get there too.
Sure. So you started, going to school and educating yourself in that sense. And then from there, I know that you were interning somewhere else before this. So how did that start? What was where were you interning, and how was that experience for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So of course, my first my internship was actually on campus as a junior. I was doing a sophomore field placement as a junior. It was a program on campus called Fit to Be Cane at my school.
Okay.
It was a program under a graduate assistant who was also a personal trainer, had his physical education bachelor's, and was going for his master's as well. So he kind of delved me more into how to get into fitness, how to teach, how to actually do group training with college kids as well, college students. So he kind of told me what I should be doing, how to coach, how to give cues, especially on the fly or during group sessions, especially trying to get certifications to get my foot into the door. So that's when I started to eventually study for a group fitness certification under American Council on Exercise, and I got that at the age of 21.
Okay.
And then I got my personal training cert later on that year in 2015.
Okay, so you got your certification in 2015. You were going through school, and then Extra Mile Fitness. You were interning there as well, right?
Yes, and Extra Mile Fitness, I definitely have to say, was one of my most impacting experiences on interning in terms of teaching clients and athletes as well. Because in school, from my experience, looking back at it now, you have the textbook, it tells you all about the science, the physiology and stuff, but from my experience, it doesn't really teach you how to apply it most of the time to the real world application, such as reps, sets, general specific exercises to give to athletes or clients to have optimized human performance and optimize that potential for those clients.
Well, that's a great point and something that I want to build off of real quick. And so if you are just starting in the industry and you're up and coming, listen, educate the shit out of yourself. Get all the education, read books, take classes, go to seminars, go to events, learn, take in as much knowledge as possible. But also understand that it's the practical experiences that are going to really propel you to the next level, because you could read all this stuff in a textbook and you could read about all these studies, and some are extremely valuable. But a lot of them are, they're in controlled environments with, maybe a group of college kids for, a certain amount of time. and maybe they produce results during that study, but then you're trying to apply that same study to maybe somebody who's 40 years old, works a full-time job, is stressed out of his mind, is fighting with the spouse, all this life stuff where it's not such a controlled environment anymore, and maybe he's just starting training this person at 40 years old, right, and just kind of getting things rolling. So the information that you gain and you learn based off of one study is going to be very different when you're trying to apply that information towards other people out there. So
And a lot of time, like Coach, I practice what you preach as well. So you're reading up on these studies, incorporating your own program and see how you feel, and maybe you can come up with some certain ideas from it. Big believer in battling in the trenches of where you're looking to coach up or teach.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Like if you have all this information, but you're not training yourself to really see how you feel, how your own body responds, how could you really coach somebody else to do what you're asking them to do? You got to be in there, you got to put yourself in those trenches too, and you got to learn from your own experiences, because if you're not putting in the work, if you're not getting under the bar and doing the actual work, you're only going to learn so much from just reading text, right? So how do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've read the books, of course, but also there were times, because as a college student, you got so much stuff going on, especially if you're heavily involved like I was. It's like, how do I put the time in? And that was one of the biggest challenges, which now going forward I was able to establish more, is establishing time to myself with school, studies, tests, finals, and then working with other people as well. Like from my experience for the past 2 years, I was a graduate assistant for the fitness program I just mentioned. I was working under someone. I was able to take on that program, and even when I was interning with you, going into that year, I became the coach here, and also still working at that program. That helped me incorporate how you was running two-teller training systems and how I can carry some of your operations and systems over to the program I was running, and I was able to still train, practice what I preach, and then whatever exercises I did, I was able to apply to the students I was working with. And of course, I developed my more of a following and more of a culture within the school, because people always gravitate toward me and always got feedback from me. So
what would you say was the biggest difference in coming here and turning here and then bringing it back?
Just consistency, I would say. Like me being consistent, showing people that I care and I wanted to revolve the program, and just showing people that we're here to not give exercises and throw it on the wall. I saw this on Instagram, I saw this from CrossFit Let's Work. I said we always give modifications, variations based upon your choices and stuff. And then as college kids, I also work with kids who probably never lifted weights in their life, or they probably haven't worked out in a long time from high school. So I had a lot of different modalities in college kids, but it was good that they came and put the trust in me, and that was the really humbling feeling as well.
Awesome.
And let's talk about your experience here. So now you're going through school, you've had these other internships under your belt, you're gaining some knowledge and experience, and you actually reached out to me to come and intern here. So just talk about what that was like. Like, what was that experience like for you when you were reaching out to me? Maybe you've heard of me and kind of TTS and what we were doing at that time. So what was that experience for you? Were you nervous reaching out to me? And when you did get in here, how was your experience from there on out?
Oh, absolutely. So when I first came here as intern, this would have been my third internship already within a 4 or 5 year span of interning and working at gyms facilities before. It was nothing new to me or learning how to be an intern and knowing my role as an intern, observing things. Yeah, I was nervous at first because that intern is I don't want to mess up. This is a good opportunity for me possibly, but looking at the environment, the vibe, and the culture, that's what I realized, wow, there's something really going on here. There's a lot of energy. Of course, I'll be honest, down the road, my original goal was, we're the fucking athletes. I just want to train the athletes. That was my goal. But as I got more mature into the industry, I was like, it's not always about the athletes, especially from the business perspective. It's also about the general population as well. So that also the culture and guys like Paul Kaplan, Barry Hogan, who are in their 40s or 50s and they're under the bar and getting trained. I was like, now we're looking at this gym is something that develops culture and longevity besides just getting their numbers up in all ages too. That's what what I really liked about it as well.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, for me, when I started early on, I was working under the tutelage of two renowned strength coaches. One, my cousin John Alvino, and Jay Ferrugia. So that was back in 2006, and I started working under those guys. And I remember just always being nervous, always second guessing myself. Always, I didn't want to screw up. I wanted to make sure I did everything right. But, working through those nerves and, coming up in the industry and just starting, like, thank God I didn't say, like, oh, I can't do this because I'm nervous and, like, throw in the towel, because I learned so much, and that's what really kind of propelled me to the next level of my career, learning. So if you are young and you're in this industry, it is imperative to seek out the experts, seek out the people who are doing what it is that you want to be doing, because those guys have the blueprint, right? So go and learn from them. A textbook, you could be the smartest guy in the world and read all the textbooks, but if you're not on the floor coaching, applying it on yourself, learning from guys who did it, then you're never going to get to that next level of your career. So be sure to seek out those who have been there before you, respect them, and really just take in as much information and advice as you can. Take notes, read those over and over. Like, that's your study material. I've reached out multiple times to Joe DeFranco now, who most of you may know. But another world-renowned strength conditioning coach here in Jersey. Shout out to Joe D. The three of us actually got him and Jim Smith's certification this past summer. So, or when was that? September. Yeah. So, but just sitting down, talking to those guys. When you go and you take an event or a seminar or get a certification, speaking to the other coaches, what are they doing? Picking up little tidbits here and there from them. You have to seek out the experts, and you have to pay money to do that. There's no way around it, because they've been doing this a long time. So if you can't get in somewhere for an internship, pay the money to get the advice from the experts out there.
I think highly recommended too, guys, that CPPS certification. If you're young and you're looking to be a strength coach, we highly recommend taking that cert. And like what Coach said, pay out what you need. If you're looking to be the best, you'll learn from the best there. To kind of follow up with the book, Coach, you're saying, talk about the books, find these coaches. That goes as if and there's a strength coach around the area. Let's say there's someone you kind of look up to, or this guy knows, give them a call. Go by the gym. Talk to them. Sometimes it make that move. That's the move of hunger. That's the move of, like, yes, I do want to make a change. I do want to learn about this industry. Then call a person. Maybe schedule an appointment. Maybe go to that gym and see if he's there. Doing that extra thing is what's going to get you to that next level that you're looking to be at. Don't just sit back and say, hey, let me just check an Instagram page and read a little bit, or let me just read his books. That's all great. You want to grab that info, but if you really want to be the best, go out there and reach them. Email them. Give them a call, all that. I think that goes a very, very long way. And not just with coaches, but with anything you're looking to do, get experience in. Let's say it's yoga. Let's say he's looking to be a great dancer. You're looking to be a great actor, whatever. Find one of the best guys in there that are around your area. The world's huge. There's always someone around your area that is good at what they do, or maybe knows the person that you look up to, and make it something that you got to do to reach out to this person.
Yeah, make those connections. Make those connections, right. A
lot of networking goes a long way. Don't be afraid. And I don't want to forget. So you were saying how you would be nervous, right? In the beginning, right? These guys are awesome, and you're learning from them. That's another thing. Don't shy away from that. There's going to be a point in whatever you do where you're going to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because you're going to need that moment. That's the moment that you're going to grow, that moment that your heart's beating. And maybe the coach says, all right, man, this is your session here, go. And now you're nervous because this guy's watching you, or whatever it is. That's where you're going to grow the most. Finish that. Don't get nervous about it. You got to fight those uncomfortable situations to be the best at what you do.
Right. Because even if you screw up, it doesn't mean that it's over.
Yeah.
Right? You make a mistake, you got to learn from those mistakes, right? Don't count it as a loss. Just count it as a chance to actually learn from the mistakes that you made.
I find that people fear that so much. They fear the part of, like, all right, I love this is great. Wait, I have to do that? Whoa, I don't do it. That's awesome. That's getting you to the next chapter. Your confidence is going to build a lot higher than it was before. I mean, those are those moments that'll make or break you, and make sure they make you.
Right. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I'm listening to you guys, but it's all bringing it back to me now. Yeah. Again, one of the things, Mark Hung, he was one of my first mentors in the fitness industry, and who was the graduate assistant at Kane. He told me something that always stuck with me, even to this day, when you helped me out, Coach, with still being a coach at TTS. He told me, this is your opportunity. I was 20 years old at the time. This is your opportunity to fuck up. Literally, he said, to fuck up. Because when you do it here, you'll get better out there, and you won't be fucking up. You won't be fucking up outside there in the real world. So there's your opportunity to mess up a little bit, learn from your mistakes, and then now when you get out there in the real world, you won't mess up. So especially for you young coaches, please take the opportunity, or please do not be scared to screw up. This is your opportunity to learn from your mistakes, fail a little bit, and then succeed better. Because, you know, once you get out there on that main stage, that's your time to shine. You may not get that chance to screw up, because if it could be a make it or break it. So definitely at this moment right now, learn from the experts, screw up a little bit. They'll be there to help you.
Right.
Yeah, it may get on your ass a little bit, but that's just to make you better. Take constructive criticism. That's one of the things that I learned from being an athlete in high school, learning to learn under the greatest so far in my career as an industry coach, and what's getting me better every day is to learn from the best and take that criticism, because I know how to absorb it and how to go with it and say, okay, how can I get better from that?
Yeah, it's great. And since you put yourself through that, you've been through these uncomfortable situations and you've been nervous. Let's fast forward now. So you started here about 2 years ago, right? You walked through these doors, right? And of course, at first you're really nervous. Like, how have you evolved now as a coach? Like, what do you think your biggest stride has been in your game for coaching? Like, where do you feel like you've developed the most? Where do you feel like you've learned just over the course of the last 2 years, working with a variety of different people and under our coaching, intuitively? Like,
absolutely. Well, I think from one of my biggest takeaways or strides as I grew up was like learning how to be more comfortable with just, in certain, especially group training, because that's where I first started off. But especially group training like this, where we're getting strength training, building world-renowned strength training into a program. I think those are my biggest strengths on how to coach people, give them different variations if needed, based upon their needs analysis. I think that was one of the biggest things I've been able to gravitate towards and utilize is more. Now, granted, I have a lot more to go, because what we learned from the CPPS back in September was having the white belt mentality, that Jim Smith mentioned. But you know, I'm always absorbing and learning more. But that was one of my biggest strengths. I want to say what I can always get better is just getting more in depth with finding more books about strength training, more modalities about mobility, especially for our members, and just how other ways to get people optimizing their health and longevity.
Yeah, well, and then you hit the nail on the head there with bringing up the white belt mentality, because listen, I've been doing this for quite a while now, since 06, and like, there's still so much more to learn. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I do not know everything. Like, I'm still learning.
Always be a student.
Yeah, you have to be, especially because this game and strength conditioning, personal training, it's always evolving. It's always changing. And you know, one of the things that drives me most crazy when it comes to trainers out there is that a lot of people think that it's just about making their clients tired, or just taking them through like a quote-unquote brutal workout, or like, I kicked this guy's ass. Like, what you have to understand is that some people are just starting, like the clients that you're going to be working with, they're not just looking to come and get an absolute beating. And now they associate working out with getting destroyed.
I mean, so they're scared from coming back ever.
So don't let your ego get in the way of what you're giving to your clients, because if that's the case, you're going to be pushing more people away than you're going to be actually helping. And that even goes for you know, like, some people would say like, oh, well, I want to work with athletes because athletes want to work hard and this and that. Listen, I've worked with some athletes, and not every athlete wants to put in that work like you think they do, and feel forced. Right, and the other thing is, if you do have an athlete, you don't want to just beat the hell out of them either, or destroy them, because their goal is to get better on the field. So if they're sore all the time and they can't move because you gave them a quote-unquote, you know, brutal leg day, then that ain't going to do shit for their performance.
There's got to be a plan, but
they have a counterproductive.
Ready for
right, so you got to be
preseason, in season. There's so much of that.
Right, be smart with your training, and don't just have your ego, you know, like, oh, man, with this guy, we got to be deadlifting, we got to be squatting, we got to be doing this shit, and we have to, you know, bust them up and circuits and this and that. Like, that's what drives me crazy about, like,
they're focused on just one.
Right. Well, and let's talk about like boot camps and shit like that. Right. Just because someone can make you tired, and this is, I'm still on this quote from Joe D. Just because someone can make you tired, it doesn't mean that they can make you better. Right. There's a big difference there. So you could walk into a training facility that is certainly way less than optimal, right? And you're just doing like circuits and, you know, a ton of burpees, and you could run 10 miles and come back and then, you know, do a quote unquote deadlift party, right? And you do all this crazy shit, and now you're just breaking your body down. You're super sore, you're super fatigued, you can't recover from it. You're not developing your joint integrity, your mobility, you're not adding muscle, you're not going to end up getting that fat off and getting to that certain position, that the goals that you set out for in the first place, because you're not recovering from those workouts, you're not training intelligently.
There's no benefit.
You're actually just doing more harm than good.
Yeah.
So the coaches out there, be mindful of that. Don't have your ego dictate your workouts or your programming for your clients, because it ain't about just kicking their ass. And I will tell you, sorry if I'm talking a little too much here, but I will tell you that early on in my career, I was making programs way too hard. And maybe it was an ego thing, maybe it was just like, oh, I gotta kick this guy's ass. Like, I had that mentality when I was 19 years old. I was young, because that's kind of what I thought I had to do. But then I realized very quickly when
I was his guinea pig for one of these.
Yeah. I was my own. In all fairness, I was putting myself through the same shit.
All right, good job, bro.
I was a guinea pig as an intern. I puked the first day one.
Yeah, for sure. But so I'm just as guilty as that. Especially 12 years ago, something like that. But that's where I evolved as a coach and learning. You got to give people what they need and really what they're ready for and what's going to make them better, what's going to get them wanting to come back and train, because that is what's ultimately going to change and better their lives. Your goal is to help your clients, not to just kick their ass or whatever.
Because it looks cool to make them throw up. To touch up on that, and one thing for all young coaches out there, learn all these opinions of all these great strength and conditioning coaches or whoever you're looking up to, and don't be afraid of because some will maybe say one thing and this person says another thing, and it might make you drive crazy because you're like, wait a minute, but this guy said this, but this guy say that. That's how you develop your own coaching. That's why it goes back to what we were talking about, trial and error. Like, try yourself, and then from there you'll have your own information, what you truly believe works for you. So it doesn't mean anyone's wrong or right, it doesn't mean that, but that's how you develop your coaching personality and you as a coach.
So, right. Your own experiences are what's gonna, you take a little from this person, take a little from this person, you learn, but then you have to apply. Right? You have to apply it and to see what's really gonna be useful for you in your own training arsenal, and a couple things you keep in the back of your mind, and you take them out on a rainy day, you try something new, you gotta just absorb, and then don't forget to apply.
Doing so makes you become your own coach, and that makes you the best coach you can be.
Yeah. Now, James, to wrap up the show today, do you have if you had to give one piece of advice to a young coach out there, maybe someone around your age or younger or in college, they're going through an exercise science program, or they're thinking about becoming a personal trainer or something, what's the one piece of advice based off of your experiences that you've learned the last few years that you would give that person?
I would definitely say if they want to flirt with the idea of being a trainer or a strength coach, I would probably one of my biggest things is to say get certified as soon as possible, because learning from me, I wish if I knew what I wanted to do at 18 or even 19 years old, right down the road, that I wanted to be a fitness coach or a personal trainer, I would have got certified right out of high school. I would have got certified right when I started college, because I felt like I was late in the game, even though I was still young. I still felt like if I'd done this a little bit earlier, I would have probably gained a lot more experience than what I am now gaining. Because even at school, it was like, again, I was just observing, I was just reading the book, but I wasn't being told to get certified. I wasn't being told, go to this person or that person specifically. Especially with my school, the courses were delving into like trying to teach physical education to students. I'm like, I'm trying to be a trainer here, not a physical education teacher. Nothing to knock off physical education teachers in schools, but it was just a distinct difference. And there wasn't a distinct difference between my specific degree and then physical education, but definitely get certified. That's
something like the CPPS.
Yeah, CPPS, something. Yeah, like I said, my first certification was the American Council on Exercise Group Fitness certification, just so I can teach group classes within my school and teach people as well. And that's how I've developed my following amongst my friends and my colleagues in school. Get certified. Don't wait. Just go for it. Study. Learn. Find some fun. Find a gym, even if it's a commercial gym where they offering group classes. Go to that. I've had experiences working in group classes, learn how to start making exercises, utilize exercises. Like Your gym is your lab. Find a gym to use exercises. What works, what doesn't work, what can apply to people. If there's people that you work with already that you don't, they can't do that, but what you can do. Find variations. There's always ways to skin a cat, which I've learned from you before as well, Chris. There's always different ways around different variations. So you just got to learn how to delve yourself into those moderations and modifications.
Guys, you just heard that from the most eligible bachelor.
Oh,
ladies, he is single.
Instagram account
And ready to mingle.
Oh,
But guys, take all that information if you're looking to be a coach, or if you are someone who's looking to hire a coach, a trainer, make sure you look for the things that we talked about today. Is this person just trying to kick your ass, or are they trying to really make you better and help you get to that next level? So use that to really help you decide who it is that you want to work with. Are they taking assessments? Are they discussing your personal goals, your medical history, your injuries, the pains, the aches and pains that you might be dealing with? Are they taking that into account in your training and your programming? Because if they're not, you might want to consider working with somebody else. So take that for what it's worth. Coach, do you have anything you want to add before we wrap up the show?
Shout out to Big Game James. I mean, he's been coming, he's done a great job. The kid's in college, always working another job. As he started here, interning here, work ethic. And you talk about hiring young coaches, this is one thing this guy has, is work ethic.
Thank you.
He's giving 110%.
No doubt. We can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah,
because I will tell you guys, to add on that, like the work ethic that James has,
Amazing.
there's days that he has to be here at 4:45 a.m. And James,
True story.
James, one time we gotta knock him for this. There was one time where I was away. It was my first trip that I took away from the business. Ruben and James were running the show. I wake up on the West Coast, California time, and I have about 50 text messages on my phone. Big Game James slept through the 5 a.m. training session of the day.
This kid never sleeps through anything. It's one of the most amazing things. But it also shows he works so much, so many jobs that he just kind of got fried out.
And what do I say? More than, and this is the God's honest truth, James, I wasn't mad. I was like, fuck. I felt bad for that it happened to James because he's such a good guy. And I know he cares so much. And he's so conscientious. I know that he just wants to get better and that he was really killing himself for it. But since that day, he learned from that mistake. What did he do? My man started sleeping here on days that he would have to run the so doing whatever it takes to get better and to make sure that he doesn't. James, don't ever sleep through a 5 a.m.
Don't jinx that on me.
We do it on the next episode. So guys,
Yeah, but also to add on to that, guys, and because of my work ethic is, because like Ruben said, I did work a lot of other jobs before going through grad school, being a full-time student and stuff, and that's just the work ethic I learned from my father, and that's just how he had, because he did a lot to do what he could to raise me as a single parent, especially in high school. So I told myself, if my dad can do it at 40-something, 50 years old, I told myself, what's my excuse to do it at 20-something years old? I'm 25, going on 26. So, again, I'm not sure what maybe your upbringing is or your lifestyle is, but just be a grind, work, hustle hard, because on the road, if you put the work in now, it's going to eventually come into fruition and work in your favor later.
No doubt. All right, guys, I think that wraps up today's show. Just a reminder, head over to my Instagram. It's Chris_Tutela, Tutela, to check out all my posts and information that I give out there. Rube, where can these guys find you?
same here, guys. You guys can find me on Instagram at _Ruben, RUBEN, _Borges, BORGES. Don't be afraid to DM me any questions you guys want us to answer on TTS Talk. And James, ladies, where can the ladies find you?
Oh, God. Anyone who's interested in training or...
Big Game
You guys can find me at Beaty73, BEATY 73. I'll be making more posts about me training and competing for a strongman competition in April, and some more variations to give you guys about exercise, especially for my friends out there in college who probably are looking to get into exercise and fitness. I'll be making posts about those as well.
Awesome. And then head over to my website, ChrisTutela.com, to stay up to date on all my blog posts and TTS talk and all that good stuff. All right, guys, that wraps up episode number 10. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you more than words could express.
Right.
And we are going to be turning this damn thing into a podcast pretty soon.
Let's
so
do
stay
this.
tuned for that. We'll keep you posted. Guys, thank you, and we will catch you next week on another episode of...
James, say it with me. Ready?
TTS Talk!
Oh!
Oh, number 10!